might be to y'all's left, uh, our incredible, we call her Pam Credible, chairman of the From the Bottom Up Foundation, Pamela Price. Let's give it up. Whoop, 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 whoop. We not on IG, so I can't get no hearts for Pam. And to my left, which could be y'all's right, the incredible Shar. We know her affectionately as Shar. This is my chief of staff, Tosha's daughter. Let's give it up for Shar. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, and let me make sure the people understand and can see the names. So let me enable the names here. So I want y'all to be to bear with us in this process because I'm testing some new software that I really like through Ecamm. And I have been, going live because number one, I like to talk to the people, let them know what we're doing, but also just kind of getting a better understanding of how to navigate some of this stuff. We were just talking off the line before we all came in here. Boom. Let me add y'all. Okay, there we go. We got text. We got text. Now y'all got everybody's names. We were just talking about how it's really important for us to know how to do all things. And as women of color, we are just blessed with that ability to
Oh,
multitask and make great stuff happen. I am really excited about the future of the From the Bottom Up Foundation. I just did an interview. I hope you guys had a chance to catch it on Spotlight Over the City. I thought it was amazing to really be able to talk about the foundation and what we're doing. So I wanted to extend this conversation and had it at the show. So we can talk a little bit more about what we're doing, the initiatives that we have, how we are going to positively impact the community. There's a lot going on in the press and in the news as it relates to women of color. So I just think that us having dialogue about it, especially for the sake of our mental health and wellness, is super
yeah.
important. So I have two really smart women that I'm going to let have the floor. Um, let's talk about, in fact, mental health and COVID while we on the subject. So, Pam,
Yes.
what has COVID taught you about both yourself personally and what you've seen from people since you've worked so closely with the community? What do you see?
Um, so to start personally, COVID-19, um, it really forced me to be uh, more in the more present. I
Mm.
think prior to COVID, I kind of just ripped. I did a lot of traveling with my job also, so I wasn't home as much,
Mm.
and so
Mm-hmm.
it really allowed me to, one, think about how I was spending my time and how to really get more of a work life balance because I really did. I thought I had it, but COVID was like, yeah, no, you don't really, you don't really have it. Um, and so like that's what I think has been a silver lining for me is being able to be home. Like even now I may go into the office, but I try and be out of my office by 3 o'clock because I got to pick up the kids,
Oh
and then
yeah.
we're home. And so there's a lot more, I think, family time that we maybe took for granted and didn't prioritize it as much. So
Mm-hmm.
COVID-19 has really helped to do that. Now,
Mm.
outside of me personally, COVID-19 has also, I think, highlighted, especially for us as Black women and just in the Black community,
Mm.
we are often suffering in silence. And COVID
Mm.
19 made that silence even worse for a lot of
Mm.
people.
Mm.
Um, because we may have had some form of an outlet in work or through colleagues. And when that got taken away, a lot of people had to really kind of come face to face with saying, okay, what am I going to do now? And because there's that stigma of wanting to share and letting people in and just not wanting folks
Mm.
to know that you're not okay.
Mm.
And COVID-19 either made you go further into your cocoon or it really made you say, hey, I gotta figure out something else. So like
Yeah.
I'm really open and honest to me about me and my mental health journey and having bipolar and living with that and not letting it define me, but also wanting people to recognize that that's okay. And if I'm not okay, that's also okay.
Yes. Yes.
So that's what I want to see more of.
So can you talk a little bit about every yes to everything? I mean, every time y'all missed our live yesterday. She killed. She always kills. So did Char. They just be killing. And Tosha, my chief of staff, who's listening in and watching and letting me know when I start talking about too much. So kids put P Valley. But she, I'm a comedian. I'm just joking. But she's so smart. She's so smart. So Pam, when you
Hmm.
say okay, not being okay, can you
You're
expound
right.
on that?
So take for example, I know since losing my mom almost, well, a
Mm,
little over 3 years ago, I know that, and this is totally independent of my bipolar disorder. I just
mm-hmm,
know I have to allow myself to feel whatever I want to feel in those moments. And that
mm-hmm.
time of year, starting in January all the way through May. So I'm still in that moment.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, and so for me, if I when someone asks, and I think that's what it is. So now I'm okay when someone asks, well, hey, how you doing? To really to say, you know, I'm struggling today.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm trying to, I'm doing I'm doing the best that I can. And I think
Mm-hmm.
usually our innate response is just to tell people, oh, I'm good.
I'm good,
I'm
girl.
good. I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
fine. I mean, it's
Yeah.
almost like we've been wired and programmed that
Mm-hmm.
when someone asks, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
And people go
Mm-hmm.
on because they like, okay, she good.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep
Mm-hmm.
going. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, when I say, hey, let's be okay, not being okay, I think it's telling people that. You don't have to tell them all your business because I know how private we are, but you can
Yeah.
at least be honest to say, hey, look, I'm having a little bit of a rough day today. If they ask why and you want to share, I say do it because it's free therapy. My therapist costs a
Absolutely.
lot of money. So anytime I can get on
Baby.
somebody else's couch for free, I'm with it. So,
Yeah.
that's what I
100%.
think. I think we have to reprogram ourselves to
Yeah.
one, accept and give yourself permission to not be on. You don't have to be on all the time.
Huh. Hallelujah. And it's interesting because we talked on the interview earlier about women in the entertainment industry. It's like, and all women obviously have to be careful about when they're not on, because it's folks out here that like they say, some people ask you how you doing just to see if you're doing bad, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
and are waiting around for you to fail. So I think all women have this thing where it's just like, okay, I'm not even going to share all of that because then it's going to be all of this. But one thing I found is that in the entertainment industry, me as an entertainer, I showed y'all my TMJ muscle growing, literally.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. And I'm not going to do this on TV because then it'll be a big screenshot of my TMJ muscle on somewhere. But that's my point. Like, as a woman, right? Well, it would be a big, oh Lord. But
Right.
it's hard to share and to be open. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. There's my I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. My point is that a lot of times we have to suffer in silence. And my girl Shanti
Right.
Guys, or we feel that we have to suffer in silence. My girl Shanti
Right.
Guys runs an organization called Silence the Shame. And it's
Mm-hmm.
basically exactly what you just said. Stop being so
Yeah.
ashamed of speaking up and find someone to share with and vent to. And
Right.
Lord knows I get on
And that's
y'all's
not,
nerves with my ventification.
no, because here's the thing. I think the more, and that's not easy. Like I don't glaze over that to say, it took me a while to get to that place to where anybody who really knows me, they know, like, Pam go to therapy, and she'll tell you, like, her and all her girls in her head. Like, I'm open about that because I want people to, again, I one, it's helpful to me, it's very cathartic, but hopefully
Hmm.
in doing so, someone else who maybe is not at that point yet, they can, if every time we talk, they say like, oh wow, this chick is just really, I mean, she an open book for real, for real. And
Hmm.
can we create those safe spaces? Like,
Oh,
from the
that's so
bottom up,
good. Yeah.
foundation it's about that. Like
Hmm.
sisterhood in however and whatever form it comes in. I think is where we can do a better job of creating those safe spaces. And that
100%.
means that maybe yes, we lessen some of the gossip, especially when it's, again, if it's a high profile person. Like, my heart went out to Meghan Markle and what she shared.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
this past Sunday.
Yes.
Um, I, having been a person who not only thought about suicide, attempted suicide
Mm,
several times. Like,
mm,
I know what that headspace feels like.
mm-hmm.
And it really just showed, again, it don't really matter what you have material wise, financial wise,
No.
you
Yes.
know, mentally, I think we all can, we need to figure out how to protect our minds, how to
Mm-hmm.
protect our mental beings.
Mm-hmm.
Because yes, money and things don't protect you from that.
Yeah.
And she,
Yeah.
she, that was very apparent. She's married into the freaking, royal family, and
Royals.
yeah, she
Yeah.
ain't she ain't stressing about money, so a
Mm-hmm.
lot of these things that, maybe regular, not so famous women are dealing with, issues. We don't have those, but it's still, I think mental health puts us all on an equal playing field.
Yes, it does. And I think it's so
Right. Yeah.
powerful that she spoke up about it. I'm really
Right.
curious to see how many women. I wish there was a way to have a poll of some kind, and maybe it's something we could do with the foundation. Just like, did you watch the
Yeah,
interview?
absolutely.
How did this impact your life? You know what I mean? Just to see how many people she was
Hmm.
able to inspire to feel like they weren't alone. And that was the
Right.
point. Like, I think the more you see high profile women being transparent about their struggles,
Right.
um, the more I think it helps people. And in the entertainment industry, we were just always told to sit up
Mhm.
straight. It's like Whitney Houston, right? When we found
Right.
out Whitney was Whitney from Orange, what is it, East Orange or whatever, New Jersey, Newark, whatever, um,
Right.
she couldn't be that. She could
Right.
be that. She could be that. But the powers that be wanted her to be very refined and pulled up. And we come from a
Right.
generation of entertainers and people in the public eye who were taught, you don't, and even in our households, don't you talk about, don't you, that ain't nobody business. And it's true because people do use it as a weapon against you. But I think
Yeah,
the
they do.
healing is worth it if you
Yeah.
evolve to a place where you just don't give a shit and learn how to tell
Yeah.
people to kiss
And
it.
that's so and that's all right. Like, I think it's better for us to have that type of defense mechanism, if that's what you want to call it, just to say, hey, look, I really don't, my bucket of fuckets is big, right? So
Bucket of
I
buckets. I
I
love
think,
it. Yes.
I would rather us have these big old fucking buckets, as opposed to, I think, the weight of carrying all
Yes.
that should be in
Yes.
your bucket. Like, it's
Yes.
just things that we are carrying around that aren't healthy for us. Stress impacts us. I wish people understand physiologically what stress does.
Mm-hmm.
So
Share.
there are these things called tellurides that are in our bodies. The length,
Mm-hmm.
however long and or short those are, really impact your health. And so stress,
Tolerides.
yeah. So
Okay.
stress, and especially chronic stress, because stress can be healthy, but chronic
Mm-hmm.
stress over time is what really wears the body down. And so the longer those tellurides, become, they increase risk for heart disease, they increase risk for dementia. They,
Wow.
in essence, it can end up shortening your lifespan carrying all of this, um, stress around. um, the stress hormone cortisol, that's
Mm-hmm.
belly fat. So, like,
Yes.
for all the women, like, you in the gym, you hitting it up, and you like, hey, look, I cannot get rid of this pooch. Maybe want to be like, okay, what are you carrying maybe mentally, that may be, again, kind of causing that extra accumulation of fat around
Mm-hmm.
our a waistline. Um,
Yeah.
Sleeping,
Yes.
stress. When you're stressed, you got anxiety or whatever it is, you're not sleeping. Our brain needs sleep, because at night and when we sleep, our brain flushes. When we don't sleep, your
Flushes. You
brain
said
doesn't.
flushes, like flushes out.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the brain is made up of more water than anything else. And
Oh, that's why you
so
gotta pee. That's why I get up peeing all the time. Okay,
so you
now I understand.
so if you think about this beautiful organ, and we sometimes forget that it sits up there. We talk about the heart, lungs, all that good stuff. Okay, but our brain is also a very important organ, and it needs sleep probably more than your other organs do. Because yes, at night when we sleep and when we rest, it gives your brain time to what really in essence is a flush. It's detoxifying itself. When you cut your
Okay.
sleep cycle short and you're not
Mhm.
sleeping, your brain just doesn't
Mhm.
have it that proper time to regroup and rehydrate, so to speak. So all of that
Got it.
plays
Okay.
into our mental health and mental well-being. And I think
Mm.
let's create safe spaces, make it normalized.
Mm.
I think it
Mm.
whether
Mhm.
you're talking about schizophrenia or whether you have a real mental health condition like a true disorder, or you
Mhm.
just depressed right now,
Yeah.
you know
There's
um
a, I know that
either
there's a
one.
difference between clinical and situational. I know on She Speaks Live we talked about that,
Mhm.
and I think sometimes there's a stigma that if you are dealing or suffering from some mental health issues, that it is you're crazy or it's something that's going to be a long term effect. But there are things that trigger
Right.
mental health issues, and they can be treated by changing your
Yeah,
environment, changing the people around you, changing
exactly.
your perspective. And then sometimes in
Exactly.
clinical is when you need more help. Is that what it is? I mean, you need
Exactly.
help in
So
both situational and clinical, but
you
clinical is
do.
where you may need more medication. Is that right? Or
Mhm. Right. So if you have like a clinical form of
uh-oh,
depression or schizophrenia
I cannot hear
or
you, girl.
bipolar, um,
Oh, I can
types
now.
of things. So those are typically, yes, because
Mm-mm.
that may mean that your brain chemically,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's receptors, hormones, our
Mm-hmm.
body is a very fascinating thing. And so sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we can just be deficient in a particular hormone. We can be deficient in how our receptors are keying and firing and kind of feeding each other. And that may
Got it.
mean, yes,
Okay.
you have a clinical something that probably needs medication if that's what you want. If that's not what you want, it's a lot of different things we can do to live good, you know, quality lives with some type of mental issue.
Okay. That's all good stuff. And I think that the biggest part that I took away from this moment is be okay with not being okay. And
Yes.
be cool about just saying, "Hey, listen, I'm not okay." Because
Yes,
that is what ultimately leads to people understanding where you come from and you being able to get help and not be embarrassed or ashamed about it. So I'm happy that the stigma
exactly.
is now starting to be removed from it. We still got a long way to go when we talk about Maya Campbell and what she's going through, and so
Right.
many people. Like I say, people in my own family, shit, me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let me bring Shar into this conversation because we're talking about it from the perspective of women who have kids and grandkids and family. Shar,
Right.
how have you, as a young millennial who's on your game, who's smart, beautiful, and ambitious, how do you find, or have you found, how have you coped with COVID? Has it had a mental effect on you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, COVID has caused me to do a lot of self reflection because I had
Okay.
to. To
Okay.
start off, when COVID first hit, I was actually living in LA and working at UCLA Hospital.
Mhm.
So, being in that environment when this first all started was traumatizing. Main reason why I'm not there anymore.
Mm.
It was horrendous, and I've been working in healthcare forever, and on the
Mhm.
administrative side, but because it hit so hard, especially in California, everybody was deployed to the emergency room.
Mhm.
Everybody, no matter what you was doing,
Ooh.
go to the
Mhm.
ER and help out. So we
Mhm.
in garbage bags. It was horrendous. It was horrendous,
You were
and
in
I'm just
garbage bags? What does that mean?
at this
Like you
point
didn't have
only clinical staff, doctors and nurses were provided with the proper PPE before it ran out. The non-clinical staff who were deployed got makeshift stuff. So we did have um the paper masks, but everything else was makeshift plasticware.
wow. They
And
really
it
didn't have it. That's
did
crazy.
not have it. It got so bad that they had to start building out the ER into the outside and into the hallways. And it felt like something off of a horror film. Seriously. Like I went home
Oh
every
wow.
day crying. I couldn't,
Mhm.
like 2 months in, I'm like, I can't. It wasn't even, I wasn't
Mhm.
even concerned about getting sick. It was just seeing all the death and the sadness and
I
but I
bet.
don't got it.
Yeah.
I think I got COVID, but I don't have insurance, so I don't know what to do. Like,
Baby.
sir, ma'am,
Mm-mm-mm.
it was horrendous. It was horrendous. Um, that
I can't
combined with
imagine.
not being able to socialize, not being able to go
Mhm.
out with my friends and my family and see
Mhm.
people,
Mhm.
it was tough on my mental space. It was extremely tough. And I think it's important to remember in this conversation. First off, kudos to you, Pam, for pointing out that it's okay to not be okay. I actually wrote a long post about this because it took me a long time to get to that realization. But I think it's
Mhm.
important to remember that when it comes to your mental health, a lot of people, not a lot of people, but not everybody can recognize that the feeling that they're having is not okay.
Mm.
A lot of people, it's not everyone can recognize hurt, pain, stress, anger, you know what I mean? And they may project that onto the people around them in a way that it shows up, oh, something is wrong with you, but they can't recognize that. You understand? Like it may, especially in our community, we're so used to trauma, we're so used to those traumatic events and those
Mhm.
traumatic feelings that it's normal for us. So we may not be able
Mm-hmm.
to discern, okay, this is not a good space that I'm in, and I need to maybe try to work myself out of it. So I think the first step is trying to get in tune with yourself and your feelings and knowing when you're in your good space and when you're not, and you may need some help in that area, whether it be therapy or medication or whatever the case may be. But once you get in that space, recognizing, which again took me a minute to get to, and my godmom can attest to this because I've learned to reach out to people when I'm in that not so good space. I suffer from
Mm.
depression.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned to one, recognize my triggers, so I
Mhm.
know when a situation arises, oh, this is gonna send me through.
Mm.
I know when it comes, and I know when I'm in it. Okay, let me just be in it. Let me feel it, and then work my way
Right.
out of it.
There you go.
So
Ooh.
I think that, again, it's very important when we having these conversations to keep in mind those that can't maybe comprehend yet how you're feeling is not okay. And that's okay. Let's try to figure out how to get you in a good space. You know what I mean?
What were some of the things that you did as a young woman who was pretty much, you were pretty much by yourself during the pandemic at the beginning, right?
Yes, I was.
So how did you cope with that? Because I think we complain a lot about, oh Lord, the kids here 24 hours a day, my husband wants the food, I got to do this or that. You know what I'm saying? How did you cope with being alone in the middle of a pandemic? That had to be tough.
It was very tough. And in my particular situation, I'm one that doesn't want to burden my family and friends. So I'm the, oh, I'm okay person. So it was a lot. My circle is amazing. So everybody, I'm 3,000 miles away. So everybody FaceTime me every day to check on me, which I absolutely love, appreciate. um, but my only way to get through it was honestly writing. That's my therapy. That's my therapy.
Mm.
And a lot came out in doing that. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, through the pandemic, I had no choice but to self-reflect because I was just with myself all the time.
I said to
Um,
myself said, hmm.
had a lot of
That's
self conversation.
a David man moment, right? Self said, hmm.
I know myself say what?
Long as you just be quiet and don't start talking out loud with self. But I talk to myself a lot too, so it's good. But go
I
ahead. I'm
did.
sorry.
I learned to have conversations with myself.
You have
Um,
to, which
yes.
I believe are, yeah.
um, So writing was my main outlet, and then making sure that I did not stay in my isolation too long. So did
Mm.
not go
Mm.
too long without talking to somebody, because then
Mm-hmm.
I would fall down the rabbit hole, and I don't
Mm.
know how long I would be there.
Right.
So
So what
I
were
just
some of
made
the
it a point.
things that you did? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. You made it a point.
No, I was just going to reiterate, made it a point to make sure that I was talking to somebody at some point all the time.
So I'm sorry. Y'all. I'm a little distracted because I'm just texting this link because someone is telling me that Tosha. I guess you know what? I don't even know why I'm paying attention to what somebody else is telling me because I know Tosha is looking at it and anything that I need to know, she gonna
And
tell
she,
me. So let
oh,
me just leave that alone. Did she
oh,
text anything? Am I missing? Okay, y'all. This is live TV, so and we ain't CNN, so we ain't got no producer in the headset. I'm us just communicating,
Telling you
communicating
and
via the
switching
phone.
cameras and whatnot.
Okay, boom. Okay. Tosha said, yes, sleep is the shit. So, there's, and Tosha's not trying to be all up in the videos, which is something that I absolutely love about her, but I'm angry at the same time. It's like a love hate little relationship. But we got this handled because our chief of staff and this wonderful, amazing millennial with the spirit of a 40-year-old, a 45-year-old,
Amen.
and the wisdom of a 45-year-old. I think we handling it pretty good. I know one of the things that and I think Pam, you touched on this a little bit. You know, so often we are caregivers, i.e., you got this woman we talking to on this phone right now, back and forth, Tosha with the most, affectionately known as Chief. We are the rescuers. We are the people who kind of bring it all together, hold it all together. What do you say, Pam, to women who are every woman and forget that self-care and how important that is? Self-care, as far as I'm concerned, is medicine. Period. I don't care what
Yeah,
anybody says. I believe that self-care is medicine. What would you say to
it
a
is.
woman who just ain't got the time, ain't got the money, you know?
One, make the time. Time we
Mm,
have. Money.
mhm.
I mean, again, again, that's
Be
individual. I
creative.
think for everybody. But
Yeah.
self care,
Mm,
self care don't have to cost you anything.
yeah.
mm-hmm.
So it's time is what it's going to cost you, and I think we owe it to ourselves, because I think that's
Mhm.
that's that's one of the big barriers to self care. We as women,
100%.
especially those like you said, Nikki, that are caregivers, and we, you got husbands, you got kids, great, whatever you got, right?
Yeah.
And they all come first, and you come
Lord.
either last or you just nowhere at all, right?
You
And
come after
so
your
I
other self.
exactly, right, and so right, you looking like, self, did you get some, well, what about you?
Right.
So before you know it, nobody's like, girl, no.
Yeah.
So I think we got to first give ourselves permission to
Okay.
say, I deserve it,
Mhm.
I'm worth it,
Mhm.
and it is not a selfish thing. You're not, to be
Mhm.
honest, you're not taking anything away from anybody. I think by
Mhm.
finding a way to give some self-care to yourself, uh
Yeah.
like, if I can illustrate it in one way, like I tell people, so we as women, we sit oftentimes at the center of so many people's lives, right? So many people are
Ooh.
looking for this, wanting this, pulling, we're getting pulled here and there.
Mhm.
What I like to tell
Mhm.
people is like, okay, well, if that center is not solid, if that center is not intact, then what happens when it starts getting pulled in all these umpteen different directions, it gets broken.
Mm.
So you have to make sure that you are sound, that you are solid, that you are whole, and
Mhm.
you get whole by yourself. We
Mhm.
can't find wholeness in other people, and other people aren't responsible and can't, to be honest, can't make us whole. That's
Mhm.
something we have to be for ourselves. We
Ooh.
can define what that
Come
wholeness
on.
is, what it looks like, but that's something that we have to make for ourselves. And self
Mhm.
care is a great way to maintain your wholeness, get it if you don't have it, and then protect it. Self care
Yeah.
literally may be locking yourself in your bathroom so that your kids
Yes.
can't come in,
Yes.
like all mine just really don't
Like the
care.
commercial with the lady
Um,
with the cookie. Go for your daddy. But there was the mother and she's like, it's your daddy or whatever. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, seriously, because for
Lock
whatever reason,
yourself
it's just
in.
like, oh, it's daddy. So okay, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't looking for daddy. I was looking for mama, right?
Mom, Nana, like,
So even if it's that and it's
mm-hmm,
15 minutes and you are locked in your bathroom with
mm-hmm,
just you and yourself,
yeah,
that could be self-care. And I think
yes,
we got to find ways to shut this off.
yes,
It's so much is coming at us. News,
mm-hmm,
people, talk, jobs, work,
Mhm.
family, whatever. We have to find a way to shut this off. Give
yeah,
yourself 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to literally just be. And to, like
yeah,
Char's point, and embrace whatever feeling washes over you in that moment. Could be sadness, could be joy,
yes,
could be just
yes,
nothing. It could be just
yes,
peace, like whoo, a big
yes,
woosah. And I
yes.
Mhm.
think, and again, that don't cost us anything but
It
Mhm.
does
time.
not. It does not. And it's interesting because you talk about just feeling the emotion and letting it be. One of the things that I used to do, and I've gotten better at it because I have such horrible TMJ, which I've had since childhood. And it's funny because my sister used to tease me about it, but I just wouldn't cry. Like I felt like it
Mm,
was a sign of weakness, right? And it's
yeah,
funny because I remember Oprah saying that her mom would whoop her, like twist some switches up and whoop her and be like, and you better stop crying, you better not cry. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So we get this whole like, you're not supposed to cry, you're not supposed to let it out. And every time I would go to the hospital to see my mom, on the way to the hospital, I would just let it all out. In the
yeah,
car, listening to the music, I would just let it go. And I've learned to just try to let it go when it comes. Part of the reason I don't like to cry as much is because my eyes swell up like watermelons. People be like, "You been crying?" Even when I'm not sad, I look sad if I cry too much. But sometimes I'm like, shit, I don't care. But
right,
Shar,
exactly.
you
I
just
have
have to be like,
gotten
I'm puffy eyed, I'm cool, but my eyes are swollen. Go ahead, Shar.
I have gotten some of the best sleep after a good cry.
Hallelujah.
After
Yes.
a good cry, I will sleep like a
Hallelujah.
baby, wake up, and I'm good. But I wanted to Pam's point. I wanted to speak to one of my favorite slogans is you can't pour into someone else with the empty cup.
Yep.
Yes.
I
Yes.
can't give
Ooh.
you anything if I have nothing. And
Right.
in trying to continue to pour into other people, you have to make sure that you are continuously full. So that means you have to continuously make sure you're making yourself a priority. You have to continuously make sure self-care is number one on the list. You have to make sure you're continuously pouring it into yourself so that you have space to give to your
Mm-hmm.
children and your spouses
Yes.
and friends
Yes.
and
Right.
strangers and things of that sort. I did want to ask you though, Miss Nikki, the From the Bottom Up Foundation, and speaking
Yes.
on mental health and self-care, how does that play into what you're doing with the foundation?
um, you know, it's probably the foundation of the foundation, right? It is
Right.
probably, the foundation of the foundation because you can't do anything like Pam said for anybody unless the foundation is secure and solid, right? And everything we're doing in terms of helping women with our initiatives through the Worth initiative, which Worth is women in reality, film, and TV and music, right? Wish there was a way to
Mhm.
say Worth entertainment, but whatever. Um, Everything we're doing with those initiatives and building equity and building equality and gender pay equality and all of this stuff, the foundation of it is in making sure that anybody who reaps the benefits of what we're trying to do collectively to grow our legacies is mentally, spiritually sound, physically well and sound. So wellness, which is all encompassing of your mind, your body, and your spirit. Every time I'm working out, Daniel's Fitness is mind, body, and spirit health because I feel like everything works in tandem. So as it relates to the foundation, what's so important with this foundation is that we hyper focus on the wellness mentally, spiritually, and physically, on women. Because the thing is, what I found that has helped me through depression, and I kind of and let me say this, let me not claim depression because I know that there are women who understand what depression really is. So I've never been in a situation where I felt like I can't. I mean, when Maxie died, situational all day. Like I was like,
Mhm.
blink, blink, I'm gonna snap and I'm gonna choke the shit out of somebody and throw them off a cliff with me. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it was. So I have had moments of definitely situational depression, but by the grace of God, even through that whole lawsuit
Mhm.
litigation thing, which I said in a conversation a couple days ago that I thought that was the worst thing, and then discovered that the loss of my sister and best friend Maxie was in fact to date the worst
I
experience
gotta plug
of
my
my
phone
life.
in real quick, y'all.
Sure, no
Hello,
problem, Pam.
plug my phone in.
Let me see if I can. Do I need to pull you off, or you good? You just. Oh, she just stepped away. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the experience of losing Maxie was the worst thing that has ever happened to me, and sent me into a
Mm-hmm.
very dark place. And I found that I actually went silent for a long time, and people were, there was like, oh, Nikki is hasn't responded to anybody. I remember the first event that I went to. Um, I just felt like everybody was looking at me. I felt like everybody wanted to ask me something. This lady asked me if I was okay, and I got up and I just left. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, oh no, we're not going to do this. I'm not about to face this pain with all of these people present, because it was a kind of, she had just died and it was my first appearance, and people were kind of like, well, what's going on? How she, you know what I mean? And then there were a
Mm-hmm.
whole bunch of other issues around that. So out of that pain, well, first let me say one of the ways that I've learned to manage, while you said writing is creating is definitely one of them. You take away my ability to create, and you know what I'm saying, you might as well just go on and seal the coffin, not the coffin because I'm not getting buried, the urn up.
Right.
um can't do it if I couldn't create, period. Let me not say that, Lord, I'm sorry, but y'all know what I'm saying, right? That's how
Mm-hmm.
serious
Yeah.
I feel about it. I don't ever want, but I also started working out. And I
Hmm.
understood for the first time in my life in that horrible process, the connection to mental wellness, physical wellness, and spiritual wellness. I left and went to LA and ran the beach with my husband almost every single day, when I was going through the shit. And I realized
Yeah.
that that was a connection to myself and to God. And that was something that I felt like made some progress in my life. So I encourage anybody who's going through anything mental to understand that there is a very direct connection to mental wellness and physical wellness. And then, the spiritual wellness sort of happens because we all feel better when we look better. It like psychs us out of a moment, right? We're like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, you just okay. And that's the spark of goodness. If your bills ain't
Yeah.
paid, if you whatever it is, if you
Right.
look halfway decent, and that sounds real shallow. I don't mean it like look fly. I
It's
mean
true though.
working out, sweating, getting your blood flow going, changing
Yeah.
yourself from the inside out, not from the
Mm-hmm.
outside in,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
helps tremendously. And it was just, the From the Bottom Up Foundation, as I mentioned on my interview earlier today, was really born. It had always kind of been in the back of my mind, and it was really born of the loss of Maxie, which is why it's
Mhm.
so important to me. It's the
Yeah.
title of our first album. She knew about the From the Bottom Up series because it was in development before she died, and showing her some footage, and we were having conversations and stuff. And it's just that's why it's so important to me. Maxie
Yeah.
had a lot of mental health issues, not mental health issues, I hate saying it that way, but challenges, you know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
all do, that she was facing right around the time she passed away. I remember reading some of the text messages, and then you see it after someone dies, and you're just like, okay, I understand it takes on a whole new meaning. But
Right.
again, it was about self esteem.
Yeah.
It was about concern for what other people thought, not being able to be. I remember this text that just penetrated my whole spirit. And she was like, Nikki, I have to be free to be myself no matter what it looks like, no matter what people think.
Hmm.
God has put on my heart that I have to be able to be me no
Yeah.
matter what. And I remember feeling when I read it after she passed, like she was talking to me. That applies to
Hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She left me
Wow.
with that because I got that text right before she unfortunately died. And
Wow.
although I have this confidence, which I do have a certain level of confidence, but I also you have this mask that you have to wear because you want to be
Yeah.
strong, and you got to be strong for everybody, especially when you're used to dealing with mental health issues in your family
Mm.
and mental
Right.
health issues with your friends. I'm always the friend that's like, "Hey girl, this is what I'm going through," and you take all that stuff on and you don't realize it, but you start to convince yourself that that's, you need to put on that mask for yourself. Like, you can't take care of yourself because you got to take care of everybody else. And that's a really important message for these super women or bosses, or, women who are
Right.
on their shit, to just really understand that a real boss
Yeah.
is being the boss of your own stuff in your
Mhm.
own life, and not just
Yes.
always giving it to everybody else.
Yeah.
So,
Like even hearing you mention like the mask, I don't know, many, well, I don't want to say many, yeah, I guess many years. I keep thinking how old I am now. Many years ago,
you 12, girl, you
um,
12.
I know, right? Um, I remember vividly one morning, I'm getting up, I'm going through my regular routine like I always do. And I don't even know how it quite, but I literally caught a reflection of myself in my bathroom mirror, and I didn't recognize myself. And I
Ooh.
know that
Mm-hmm.
sounds really weird because you're kind of like, well, yeah, I look at myself kind of, but not really. And whatever it was, and I think again, it was just, maybe God saying, hey, let me give you, I want to catch you really quickly and let you really see
Mm.
what you are right now, how you are right
Mm.
now.
Mm.
And when I tell
Mm.
you, I curled up on my back, I called into work that day. I curled up. I probably stayed on my bathroom floor probably till about noon ish, crying.
Oh wow.
I didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't recognize what I saw staring back at me,
Oh wow.
but I knew whoever that chick was not me. And I hated what I saw because I saw, to what you were saying, I saw, Nikki, all of these masks, just like
Mm.
over the years, masks, that you put on for this relationship and that friendship and that whatever
Mhm.
reason.
Mhm.
And it was so, like, it just shocked me to the point when I finally got up off the floor and I was like, okay, I got to really now start digging off these layers
Mm.
and get to who Pam really is.
Mhm.
And it took I mean, that took years. It took years. It took me finally, I think, seeking the help that I really needed. And I
Mhm.
still teetered back and forth between, again, do I really want to go lay on somebody's couch and cry about how bad life, I went through all of that before I was like, hey, ain't
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. And I'm paying to be on this couch. So what?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so, but that mask thing it's very important. And I think we have to, especially as women and as Black women, that mask is toxic. And I'm not
Ooh, it's
talking
so
about
toxic.
knowing to say, I'm not saying, hey, look, I gotta go and I gotta present in front of these people. I'm not talking about, hey, I'm presenting and there's a professional side of you. I think like we talked last night, there's a professional side of me and then there's the ratchet
Mhm.
turn up Pam, right? I'm not talking
Mhm.
about that. Those aren't masks. Those are elements of and part of you. A mask is
Absolutely.
something that is not you. It
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
pretend. It is a facade, and
Yep.
and again, I think it's toxic because we put it on. Some of us never get a chance to take it off, and in taking it on and keeping it on, we lose ourselves. Like, that's what I learned laying on that floor in my bathroom. I had lost myself, and I had to find myself quickly because
Mhm.
I had definitely promised myself I'm not gonna try and kill myself no more, because obviously that's not in God's plan. So I hung that
Not
hat
at
up.
all. Right.
Thank
Right.
But
God.
I was like,
Thank God.
I still, I still need to find a Pam that's worth living for me. I can't not I love my daughter, but she wasn't enough. As
Mhm.
crazy as that sounds, she wasn't enough.
Mhm.
And God was kind of like, you gotta live for you. And the only way you can
Mhm.
live for you is getting to know you and who I made you to be in all of its ugliness and beauty.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that is, it's a tough place to get to, because a lot of people unfortunately don't make it past that mask that they see in that moment where you're on the floor completely
Yeah.
broken, not knowing if you can come back from it. And I think, it's interesting. I posted something today about feeling like something was a loss or broken or whatever. And understanding that once you get through it and you have the
Mm-hmm.
testimony to share it, like from your
Right.
heart, is so powerful. And there's no way that your testimony could be, there's no testimony without a test. You
Exactly.
know what I'm saying? So God brings us to our knees and makes us pay attention because there's something greater that we have to do. And that is not to say that anybody who didn't make it through that test or is still in that struggle and hasn't made it through that test yet is any less of a warrior or a soldier. It's just,
Right.
a
Yeah.
affirmation that keep going. When you're going through hell, what
Exactly.
Winston Churchill say, keep going. Keep going. That shit
Yeah.
is hard. And what's crazy for me is that everybody is either going through some shit, been through some shit, or going to experience some shit in their lives. Right?
Yes.
And speaking of shit, that was one of the things. This gonna be a little gross, so I'm just gonna let y'all know in advance. It's gonna be a little gross.
It's all
But
right.
whenever I start to feel like, well, maybe I don't want to be transparent or straightforward about this because I would be judged, I'm like, you shit just like I do, and it don't smell good.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally have to remind myself, we all shit. We go through shit. We
Right.
take shit. You know what I'm saying? It's just, and it makes it easier for me. It's sort of my sort of thing. Like, we all going through it. We all do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and the more transparent we are about it, then I think the more we can heal from it. Shar,
Absolutely.
what would you say to a young woman who is single, who is ambitious, who is in a phase in her life where she's ready to get into relationship, build her family, and start building her own thing, or not? Who might be struggling with some mental health issues or some self-esteem issues, even if it's not as hard as a mental health issue, which self-esteem is a mental health issue, but
Mm-hmm.
lightweight. What would you say?
Mm-hmm. I would tell her to take some time, and this is where I think we need to come together as a community, because it's speaking for the millennials. We like, this is the age of tutorials. We like step-by-step instructions. Okay, so I need to do some self-reflection. How exactly do I do that? What exactly do I need to do? Um, and of course, that journey is going to be different for everybody. And I think trying to find your path is going to take some time, honestly, which is difficult for some people, being by yourself,
Mm.
taking yourself out on a date, taking yourself
Hmm.
out on a walk, being alone with your thoughts, and being able to recognize feelings that come up, the times they come up, what
Hmm.
environment make you feel what. We don't understand the power of emotional intelligence. And
Ooh, say it one more time. You gotta say that one more
the
time.
power of emotional intelligence is,
Bingo.
it is a force. I believe
Mm.
that everything is energy. Our emotions are energy, our actions are energy, our feelings are energy, money is energy, everything is energy, and it's looking for other energies to attract. And you have
Hmm.
to
Mm.
be mindful of the energy that you possess, one, learning what it is, and that takes, again,
Ooh.
some alone time, because you have to get everything, all the outside world out, which now is difficult with social media and everybody being on that's what's in our head. Like Pam said, you got to get out of that. So that alone time, getting those outside forces away so you can focus
Hmm.
on your inner thoughts, and
Hmm.
being able to find your intuition and that inner
Hmm.
voice, so that when outside forces do come back, you can discern what's you and what's not. And
Yeah.
so I would tell that young lady, take some time by yourself, go out
Ooh,
into
good.
nature, do some
Hmm.
meditation, learn to recognize your inner voice.
Hmm.
Once you can discern when your inner self is talking to you, everything else will flow like it's supposed to. Your intuition will speak in every situation, and you won't question yourself. But that's going to take you learning yourself. You have to know, okay, that wasn't me. Okay, he talking
Yeah.
crazy to me, and my inner me is telling me to go. The outer me is telling me, no, stay because you love him.
Mm-hmm.
It's you don't want to be by yourself. But that your intuition is telling you, sis, that ain't it's going is go. But you have to get to a space where you recognize that voice first. And
100%.
that takes getting to a place of emotional intelligence where you recognize this ain't me.
Mm.
This ain't my normal. This ain't my resting
Mm-hmm.
heart rate. My
Oh,
beat is
this ain't my
off.
resting heartbeat. There
This
we
ain't
go.
my
We talking
resting
about
heart rate.
Love
we
My
it.
talking
beat is
about
off right now.
we talking about the connection between mental health and physical health. You need to check that resting
Exactly.
heart rate.
Exactly. Exactly.
And for those
Love
of you,
it.
that was like I said, she 18 going on 37.
I
Um,
love it.
so for those who don't know or are unfamiliar or may have forgotten, emotional intelligence has a lot to do with how you perceive the emotions that you're going through, how you reason with yourself. Okay, what is going on, self? You good? Understanding the emotion and managing it, right? It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't say you shouldn't have it. It means
Mm-hmm.
that you
Right.
have to figure out a way to manage it,
Mm-hmm.
to understand it. And that comes with trial and error. It's not, and
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting because therapy is amazing. And I think that it really does help. And, I have, you know, different people who work in like I have a team of just really amazing women who can help me understand how to process a lot of things and who aren't even in this industry. Pam, Tosha,
Yeah.
Shar, Michelle, Gia, you know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
get a great group of people who help me to process and understand things, which is awesome. But therapy and a professional, someone who totally understands, is also something that I have to, do, because there is a way that they can help us figure out how to develop our emotional intelligence. And over the years, I've definitely, I don't know if it's turning 50, about to be 51. I don't know if it's just having gone through all of these things in my life, and come out on the other side of it like, oh, that was awful, it was terrible. I never want to go through that again, but I'm glad I did because I learned this.
Right.
And I think that that is a lot of what we have to figure out in the process of figuring out how to be mentally well, that
Right.
we're going to fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's going to go bad. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
Right.
lose every fucking thing. You're going to have
Yes.
friends that you thought was your girls that's going to stab you in the back and treat you like a piece of shit. You're going to have a man that's going to do it. It is just a part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And not holding yourself to this standard of perfection is a big piece of understanding wellness
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We are beautifully
for me.
broken and fabulously flawed. That's every day,
Exactly. Yes.
all day. Like every
A
day,
hundred
all day.
percent.
That's what we are.
Beautifully
And
broken
I
and
think,
Yes.
fabulously flawed. Can we have that beautifully broken and fabulously flawed paddle of the from the bottom of Tosha? I know you're taking notes. We need to do that. I would love that. Is awesome.
That
Beautifully
is.
yeah.
broken and fabulously flawed. Okay,
That
Yes.
is.
that is amazing. And I
Yep.
think we have to normalize brokenness.
Yes.
And I say that because I know so many women personally who are dope as fuck, who are still going through crazy shit and brokenness. And that whole
Yeah.
idea that you have to pretend, like, I think if I had to pick, like, on a list of things that I think are the top two things that we go through that cause mental issues for us, it is
Hmm.
pretending to be perfect, or trying to hold yourself to this idea that you cannot fail, you should not, oh, I should be better, I should have more, and
Hmm.
complaining about what you got. And not, and it's kind of the same thing. So there's either the person who just acts like nothing is wrong, like you said earlier, Pam. Oh, I'm fine, everything is good. And then there's the person, everything is wrong, everything is bad, my life is terrible. So you know what I mean. So when you figure out them two people, self, hmm, um,
Right.
it changes your life
Mm-hmm.
and
Absolutely.
perspective.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Your
Perspective.
perspective. Yeah. How you, and again, I think it comes back to Char's point, the emotional intelligence. It's you actually, like you said, talking to yourselves, however many of them you got, but all of y'all coming together and
Hmm.
saying, what the fuck was that?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay. Well, what, and asking ourselves why. We don't want to ask ourselves why sometimes,
Hmm.
because we just don't want to deal with what we already know the answer is. Like Char, like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
the why is because that nigga fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Right.
choosing to stay there. That's the real why,
Exactly.
you
We don't
know.
want to deal
Right.
with our part in the why, our
Right.
responsibility in the why.
And that is, again, because like you said, Nikki, life is not, nobody's life is perfect. Jesus's life wasn't perfect. He died on the cross. We all know how that went, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about living the perfect life, but I think it's about finding a life that's going to be perfect for you.
That's the
And
word.
that has to do with how you look and perceive it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm.
think if we make ourselves, I don't care how, my losing my mother was the worst things hand down that has ever happened to me in my life. Probably will be the
Yeah.
worst thing to ever happen in my life.
Ain't nothing
It
like
is
it. Ain't
also
nothing like
it's also one of the best things that has happened in my life.
it. Yes. Yes.
The
Oof.
my perception on life after losing her, as much as I'd give it back to get her back, but I can't do that. But I what matters comes into real focus when we allow ourselves to be broken. Sometimes we
Yes, it
fight
does.
being broken when being broken is what we need.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yes, it
need
is.
we far as
Yes, it.
I go through cycles. And I'm kind of like Shar. I know to say like, ooh, it's coming, and I can feel it. And
Mm-hmm.
I know it's time for me to be broken because it's
Mm-hmm.
something I'm carrying knowingly or unknowingly that has to get released.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Let myself go through this, be
Mhm.
broken, and then
Mhm.
get put back together. And
Mm-hmm.
the new me that gets put back together is better than the chick that I just left. I mean, it's like a
Come
snake that sheds its
on,
skin.
ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Snakes have to shed their skin because they've outgrown the shell that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes us being broken is because hey, we've outgrown this right here, and now it's
Yes.
time to be moved. You're going on to
Yes.
this next level, and that may require you to be broken. There
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
is there's nothing that doesn't make you weak.
Mhm.
It again, there's a beauty to me in that brokenness.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it from a spiritual
Yes.
aspect or a religious aspect. The potter's hand. He ain't molding clay that's already put together. He's molding clay that's
Say it.
broke.
Mm-hmm.
Say it.
You know.
Faith that cannot be
So
trusted that ain't been tested. Period. If it
Hello.
ain't been
exactly.
tested, it can't
You
be
know.
trusted. Period.
Exactly. Diamonds have to be what to be created. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
it's precious.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I think we have to stop running from the brokenness and stop running from,
Yes.
the pressures and the trials of life. And, I like to say acknowledge it,
Yeah.
accept it and understand it, and
Mhm.
then move on because it's a journey. That's what we're on. This life is a journey. It is, we in it making the best of it as we can. And I think we can do ourselves a big, 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 big favor by changing the way and our outlook in which we are seeing the life that we are living right now. If you see something you don't like it, change it. Or
Change
see,
it.
look
Yes.
at it for what it really is, you know?
100%. Let me see. I'm getting a little feedback. Let me figure out where that might be coming from. Okay. Well, it's cool. I'm sorry. Right. If
Oh,
you see something, change it. See something, say something, do something. Um,
yeah.
you said something that really sparked some interest. Let me see where this clicking is coming in. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna try to mute. Okay, it's still happening. And let's see. Oh, you know what, Shar? That's you.
Is it
No.
me?
Yep, that's you. It's better now though. Uh-oh, you just went away. Oh, where'd she
Uh-oh.
go, baby? There you go.
There you
You
go.
back? Okay, perfect. Good
Is that
stuff.
better?
All right, here we is. Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. Um, you said something, Pam, that just really inspired a thought. Oh no, where did she go? Okay, she'll be back. Hold on. She'll when she comes back, I'll bop her back in. Hopefully it will
Okay.
let it happen. But and that is that like we feel like we have to, how do I say this? Um we feel like we have to I'm trying to figure out how to say it. Okay, let me say it this way.
Mhm.
Do you believe that the stigma that is
Mhm.
associated with people being transparent about how they feel is something that is also very real? Like we're talking in this sort of euphoric space of like, just say it. Just let the world
Right.
know that you're struggling. But
Yeah.
isn't there a space in there where if you tell somebody that you're struggling, or you're honest with somebody about your struggle, that you do get judged, you might not get that gig, you might not have that opportunity? And how do you address that
Absolutely.
with people who have very real things to be concerned about?
Even in your own family, like we're real, like those
Come on,
closest to
Jesus.
you. Okay. Like those closest to you are looking at you side eyed, like either how dare you. Like I remember the first time I attempted suicide, left the hospital, got home. Nobody asked me shit, right? Like
What?
nobody asked me, girl, why you do it? It just was like, Nick, come welcome home and pick shit up and keep going. Right. So when I finally started talking to folks in my family about what I was dealing with and how I was feeling, I got a lot of
Hmm.
side. I was like, first of all, how dare you put our business out there,
Right. Right.
So like that's real. And I think even
Hmm.
in the
Ooh,
workplace,
that honey.
you
Oh.
know, come on now, like, you, and I get it that you could lose out on job. To be honest, you know, it's getting more common now for you to take a mental health day at work. But that shit in honesty is still frowned upon in a lot of different places, that they're like, okay,
That's
well, why
crazy.
were you out? It's policies to say, well, you need a doctor's note. Okay, well, bitch, I didn't go to the doctor. I just stayed home in my bed crying all day yesterday. I don't have a doctor's
Hmm.
note, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think that, yeah, we while we are encouraging self-care, while we are encouraging the transparency, while we are encouraging people to be able to speak and be open about how they feel, I think we
Hmm.
also have to challenge the status quo, challenge,
Hmm.
our social norms that actually allow for those things to happen without the stigma, without the pushback, and without like the
Hmm.
negative, consequences.
Hmm.
So in the workplace, we need policies that protect people, that to be able to say,
Yes.
if you need time mentally, you should be able to take that, or
Yes.
and we're going to provide mental support if you need it in many different forms, whether that's professional counseling or just time away, or having
Hmm.
retreats available for your staff to be able to participate, to
Hmm.
get some, alone time. And even in our social media spaces, I think we can be more kind, when we see someone. I think let's take it at face value until it turns out to not be what the person is saying. So,
Hmm.
we have to really figure out a way to do both, because I think, yeah, that stigma is what keep that stigma and fear. I think the fear of rejection. I think the
Hmm.
fear of, again, that it's you're a weak-minded person.
Yes.
How did you let that make you cry?
Yeah.
How did it's just like, nah, nigga, I ain't weak by any stretch
Suck
of the
it up. You
imagination.
better suck it up. You better pull
But
it
yeah,
together.
that
What you
whole,
doing?
yeah,
We don't do
like
that. We
we,
hold it
we
together. Black women, we got 5 kids on our backs, some bake. We cooking up some bacon. We frying
right.
some rice. We paying the
Yeah, and I'm like, no, that's
not
sad.
superwoman.
Because
We are
I'm
not
putting some
superwoman.
of that shit down. Like some gotta go.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it, and it's I think we can applaud women who do it better. I think we
Yeah.
can hold the hand. Like I love having someone of Char's generation, because
Yes.
I think that's also the disconnect. You
Yes.
know, our
Indeed. Indeed.
generation can't always be looking at Char's generation or my daughter's generation
or
and
Brandy.
pointing, fingers and saying, "Oh, y'all need
Mm-hmm.
to," and we're, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
we're telling them y'all need to do A, B, C, and D, but we're
Yes.
either not showing you because we're not walking it
Mm-hmm.
out, or we're
Mm-hmm.
not giving you the tools and having the
Mm-hmm.
conversations with you to prepare you to do the things that,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we hope and we're encouraging you to do. And I wish I saw more of that. I wish I saw more married couples spending time with single women who are really
Yes.
telling, again, what are your thoughts on this,
Right.
and giving the real, not my Facebook marriage. I'm
Come
giving
on,
you my
baby.
marriage off,
Come on
I'm giving you
now.
my marriage off of Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook got the
Yeah.
shit looking like, ooh, this is just on and popping, right? Because you ain't snapping when you done kick his ass out on the couch, okay? So I want us
Or when
to
you
I
arguing
want us
about
to
Fox News versus CNN. Anyway.
say there you exactly. That's what I'm saying, which is that could be big, right? So I think, trust me, again, Sharbu, when you get there,
Don't
please
rush
feel
it.
free. Okay, feel free. But I think, yeah, terms of like your the question, Nick, I think if we to make transparency more easy, to make it more comfortable for people, I think, yes, continue to have these intergenerational kind of conversations, and then where we can, in all the spaces that we operate in, school, work, church, the whole nine, that we, as those of us who have made it to this point, so like
Yes.
me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm there. I think it's my responsibility that as I'm going into these places and I'm saying, "Yep, I got this, I got that," and it's like 10 of me all up in here at once, and I don't know who you're gonna get.
Yeah.
It's a few of
Yeah.
my girls. I try not to let them
Yeah.
get the light because they'll fuck shit up. But
They'll
the
fuck
rest of
shit
us,
up.
we're gonna
Flip over
we're gonna
tables
make
and
this work.
everything. Right.
That's
Right.
what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, it's a couple
Yeah.
of them. I'm like, "Ooh, she
Yeah.
can never like get out."
Yeah.
Like she's,
But it's good to
she.
have her on standby.
Yeah,
We
she's on
Right.
understand.
standby for, you mess with my kids, you know,
Yes,
that's what
baby,
she serves a
listen.
purpose.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
serve a purpose. But I think,
Yes.
yeah, it's our responsibility, as I'm being transparent, to try
Yeah.
and bring as many people as I can on my transparent journey with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Shar, that was brilliant, Pam. Thank you. And she's usually very quiet until she got to come, right? She the quietest one in here till it's time for that trigger. No. Okay. Shar. I know, Tosha. I can already hear you. Um, as the younger of the crew, uh, y'all have it hard, you know? I have it's interesting, I just remember, speaking of that girl, I remember, Brandy being very, very quiet and shy when she was little, and now it's like tatted up, and I'm like, you got another tattoo, Brandy? You got another, you know what I'm saying? But y'all are a different breed, and it's interesting because, and I'm one to talk because she went with me when I got my very first tattoo and sat there and watched in awe and amazement. And the first one she got, I think, was the matching tattoo. So I mean, yeah, yeah. Um, so y'all have a lot to deal with, and life and the world is a whole lot different for y'all than it was for us. We always talk about, thank God Twitter and social media wasn't out. We was in college and we was in high school. We was out in these streets singing "Push It" real good.
Hmm.
How does that add to the stress? How does that add to the expectation of being perfect? Because we didn't have filters in social media, and if you're not an influencer walking around here with Chanel everything, you ain't shit. How does that work?
So you have the pressure of individuality because
Yes.
everybody wants to be the first to do everything.
Hmm.
And then you have the pressure of trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying
That
to
part.
keep
Mm.
up with the Cardi B's, and
Hmm. Hmm.
it's a lot. It
Hmm.
takes a strong mind to be able to discern what should just be entertainment and what you should be trying to aspire to obtain.
Hmm.
And from my perspective, it's not
Okay, I was raised mainly by my grandmother.
Hmm.
So I have a different, this my old fashioned
You
spirit
got
comes
that good
from
old, you got that good old, good old. Right, right.
comes from her, and I've always gravitated towards older women because wisdom.
That's where that
I want.
spirit come
I
from.
don't want to
Hmm.
have to. I don't want to have to go. If you done it already, I feel like I shouldn't have to. If you done been through it already, I don't feel
Right,
like let me learn
right.
from your mistakes.
Well, hold on. Now, hold on. Back it up. Hold on.
Again, we are the generation of quick fixes,
Entitlements.
everything in the microwave. I need a step-by-step instruction. I don't wanna go
Entitlement.
on my journey and figure it
Yes.
out. I want you to just tell me and then I get there. That's
Yeah, no,
that's
I see
that's
that now.
our
Mm-mm.
that's our generation. That's
And that is a big issue and a big part of the disconnect between us and y'all. Because you're like, Auntie, I mean, I'm a rapper. I'm sorry, I'm putting people business in the street, but I got to speak from a real place. Put me on, bruh. Go do some open mics, which he's doing, because some people might know who I'm talking about. But y'all just want it so quickly, and the thing is, it is not sustainable. It
hmm
is
Right.
not sustainable. They're not going to be playing your records in 30 years if you on that quick microwave bullshit. It's not going to happen.
hmm
Forget about it. So, so what we're trying to do is let you be, is let you, now, okay, now let me say this. Now, I do believe that some of the struggles, like we not going back to the civil rights movement, but I kind of feel like we are, and
A little bit.
the struggles a little bit on some levels. I mean, it's not that
Yes.
bad because we got social media and a lot of people, so we'll never be as bad as it was, and we always wanted to be better for y'all. But be careful with that. We want that microwave stuff. That's an issue, Shar. And
I
I don't get that
know
all the
it
way
is.
from you.
I know it's a problem, but
Brandy.
that's how we that's how we are, and that's why you have the let me not pay my rent so I can get these Gucci shoes and flex for the gram.
Right,
That
right,
Right.
that's how you got those situations.
right.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, those are the pressures that we have, though, trying to
Mm-hmm,
live up to what we're seeing on social media because
mm-hmm,
it's everywhere.
mm-hmm,
That's
mm-hmm.
all we're doing right now, especially with lockdown. All we're doing is watching shows and on social media. And
Yeah,
ain't nobody
Yeah.
posting that they can't make their mortgage or rent on social media. They're not posting that.
right.
You know what I mean? They're not
Right.
Right,
posting the real stuff that
right,
they're
right,
going through. So
right.
you feel like if I'm not where they are, then something is wrong with me. So let me fake it till I make it.
And it's so
And
toxic. That is the okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Good point though. Go ahead, keep
it's
going.
it's it's rough. It's
Mm.
rough. And like I said, if you don't already have a strong mind and if you don't already have a level of emotional intelligence that allows you to
Mm-hmm,
say, okay, this is foolery, let me go on and stay in my lane, then
mm-hmm,
you can get wrapped up in the hype and it messes with your mental. Once
Yeah.
you put the camera down and
mm-hmm.
you in your bedroom by yourself, this is why folks is hanging themselves and blowing their brains out because it hits you at that point.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
The real hits
Yeah.
you like, oh, I'm alone.
Yeah.
These
Social
Yeah.
100,000
media,
followers don't care. I'm by
it don't care.
myself.
They don't care. Robin
No.
Williams. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tamar Braxton,
Exactly.
Right.
Mimi
Exactly.
Exactly.
Lynch, Nikki
Yeah.
Gilbert, Mariah Hush.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
nobody cares. I always say social media, entertainment, you know, TV, film is like the selfie like this. Life
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
is when you just on your phone looking and you get that shot of yourself and you be like, damn, is that what I look? Y'all done seen the shots
Right.
where you like, oh shit, I'm a monster. And but that is it is a analogy that I have to use. It's just we get so caught up in the fly and listen, ain't nothing wrong with wanting the best. Ain't nothing wrong with
Right.
No.
aspiring for the we like things that are beautiful and pretty. It's just
Right.
Mm-hmm.
historically, human beings are just more in nature with animals. The lion who
Right.
Mm-hmm.
got the most, it's just a thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it becomes very dangerous. when
Yeah.
you allow it to define who you are. And it's really interesting
Mm-hmm.
because my mom, I want to say this because it's super important, and I talked about it in the other interview. My mother is my shiro. She is one of the most incredible women in the entire world, and not just because she's my mama, but ask any of my cousins, ask any of my family members, ask any. Helen Patricia Gilbert was a multi hyphenate boss from the moment she got here. Real estate broker, owned stores, flipped houses, had her builder's license, was a jazz singer, was everybody's favorite aunt, knew how to fish, knew how to, I mean, handle a weapon. Like my mother was that deal. And she suffered from so much trauma in her life, which we will not get into because it is one of them things where, like, don't you say that. And I get it because it ain't, that's
Yeah.
her story to tell and it's connected to other people. So I'm going to always respect that. And I had to learn a hard lesson. God bless you, to somebody very, very close to me who, because I was speaking openly about it and what my mother's struggle was prior to now, until somebody had to kind of check me and be like, that's not your story to tell. She's not here and it's connected to other people. So keep your mouth shut.
Mhm.
Not keep your mouth
Mm-hmm.
shut. She didn't say it like that. She just
But
said it
yeah.
like, you got to be cognizant of the fact that what you speak, as much as you want to share, well, my mom overcame this, that, and the third. Other people's stories are connected to that. And I love my
Mm-hmm.
people, and I want to make sure that I don't think anybody should ever be outed. I think if you're gay and people know you're gay and you ain't ready to tell the world you're gay, shame on anybody who puts that shit out there. You understand what I'm
Right.
Mm-hmm.
saying? Because it is when, and I'm a big firm believer in people having, as much as we talk about dealing with your mental health stuff and being transparent, if it ain't coming from your mouth, it shouldn't be coming from anybody else's. And that's the reason why
Right.
people have such a hard time being transparent with folks, because you say stuff to people and they got these little arterial side hustle. And that right there is so major in our community. The
Mm-hmm.
gossipy, chatty, telling people business, setting people up, like that shit is whack as fuck.
Yeah.
And I thank
Mm-hmm.
God that I'm at a place where it's like, if you're dirty enough to do some shit like that, then
Yeah.
A, it doesn't matter. You're not worth the stress that I would go through to have to worry about it. And anybody who judges me or believes me based on some shit you said don't matter. So I'm luckily
Right.
at a place, when you get to a point, you arrive at a place where you're just like, it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, it hurts. We human. You
Yeah.
feel let down. But I think putting too
Mm-hmm.
much stock in what other people think of you, that's something I did quite a bit for a while. Like my weight
Yeah.
and my big mouth and my big teeth and my big voice and and now I'm just like, I am who in the entire fuck I am. I'm sorry, y'all. Please,
Yes.
I don't want to
No, I
offend anybody out
and we
here.
love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love myself and I know my intentions, and that's another thing we gonna get to about an hour and a half now. But intention. I want to talk about
Yeah.
intention because that's so so important, because I think that people
Yeah.
get so caught up in feeling bad about something that didn't go a certain way, which often leads to some of these mental issues that we're talking about. And they
Right.
don't give themselves enough credit for saying, well, I meant well. I wasn't coming
Mm-hmm.
Right.
from a bad place. My
Mm-hmm.
intentions were good. Either one of you, what is your idea about intention and how important that is in your life, in all of our lives?
Um, so I think one way that we make sure that we can communicate our intentions is one, to kind of Shar's place, is that how much time have you spent with yourself to kind of know you and know why you're reacting and responding to certain things
Yeah.
a
Mm-hmm.
certain kind of way, because then now you know. And if, and again, if some, I think where intention can get a bad rap is in when we don't actually voice that. So when someone takes
Mm.
something that you said and they maybe take it the wrong way, you hop into your feelings, as opposed to coming back and then saying, okay, well, one, could I have said that differently so that my true intention actually came across? Because usually that's what
Hmm.
happened. Your communication was a little fucked up. And so your intention again kind of
Yeah.
got, missed. And so I think one, it's, yes, knowing and trying to get into a really good place of just your own kind of introspection to know why you're saying what you're saying, to whom you're saying it to, and
Yeah.
what's your reason and point and purpose for saying it, because that
Hmm.
helps you articulate it. And then I
Mm,
think being all right when it's not perceived or received in that way, and coming back
mm-hmm,
and saying, okay, well, yes, I apologize for that. But I think on the
mm-hmm,
other end of that is that if that apology is given, your true intentions are expressed, and it's still not accepted, you're done. Now it's on that
mm-hmm.
other person to decide how long they want to carry on
Very good.
whatever they
Yes.
want to carry. And I think
Yes.
that's where we got to learn to say, well, my role in this is done. I knew what my intentions
Wow.
were. I have
Right.
clearly expressed to you what my intentions were. I
Ooh.
sincerely apologized that it
Mm-hmm.
came to you in any way other than what I intended. And you either accept that apology and we move on, or you don't accept it and I'm still moving on and I'm gonna leave you right here in whatever you know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave you right here.
Yeah. That is so powerful and so great because that's the other side of the law of intention. Like if a person doesn't know or isn't aware, and you share it, I didn't mean that. And when somebody seriously is like, "Oh my God, I did
Right.
not mean that like that."
Mm-hmm.
That's not, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that's really dope. You do have to give people, because even if in your mind you're like, "Well, I'm not coming from that place." If people don't know, you have to give them the apology, the explanation, the clarity.
Yes.
I
Because like you said,
Yes.
if they
absolutely,
don't get it, then
absolutely, absolutely agree with that. I would
mm-hmm,
make a point though on the other side of that. I know what I have struggled with and kind of still do is intentions towards myself, my own intentions,
ooh,
whether
Mm.
it be a new career venture or a creative venture or even relationships. When I meet a new person, okay, am I clinging to this? What is the reason for this? Like what is my intentions in allowing this person in my space? What are my
ooh,
intentions in venturing out on this new creative journey? What am I looking to get out of this? Am I looking for something that am I trying to fill a void? I struggle with that, and I think it's very important to know your own intentions going into situations, and
ooh,
especially going into relationships, whether they be platonic or romantic, and that takes another
Oh,
whole
that's
nother
good.
level of, as we spoke about, knowing yourself. I think it makes having those intentional conversations with other people a lot easier when you have already established your intentions in that relationship. I think it allows you to accomplish those goals that you set out when you have already established your intentions in doing that. Like what is my purpose for doing that? So that those are my struggles, and I think once you are aligned with yourself and in tune with yourself, all that other stuff will just flow. Everything else will just flow.
ooh. That's so
Oh, I love
good.
that.
That's so good. You so smart, girl. You always just over here tell the truth. You know, being your little phone. And Coach, like, I'm so proud of my daughter. We are so proud of you. Yeah,
You
and I
gotta tell
love
Mm-hmm.
Coach, honey,
again.
we all gonna claim you, okay? Because that was good right there.
That's it. And what's wonderful about this, like I said in the beginning, y'all, we're like on an interview. I'm like, y'all, can we get on live and test this out? And we don't do this more often because it's important for us to have the conversations. And not all of them is so heavy. Because last night we was turned. Well, we
We
was
were.
turned last night. You still
We
got
were.
you said IG we be a little more turned. Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, we'd be a little more pulled up. You understand? Um, but it just it feels good to know that we're human beings and we're
Yeah.
vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
we can learn from each other. And Shar, yeah, you want the stuff in a microwave, but based on how you respond to life and situations, you know what you got to do it the long way. You know what
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we folks with you the long way, because you understand. But y'all do be on some, and we're gonna have to get some more millennials on this panel, Pam, so we can really figure out what y'all be talking about. So I would be remiss
Right.
to not mention, because we've been so deep in this amazing conversation, from the bottom up foundation.org. From
Yes.
the bottom up foundation.org, which is the title of the Brownstone album. And we got a TV series coming to Worth TV, WIRF
Yeah.
TV.com. Um, and let me just plug real quick. some of the stuff we're doing with this Worth TV initiative, because we don't have to get it all in this conversation because we're going to have plenty more. And that's one of the things that we want to do under our initiatives is just open up the dialogue and be able to have these conversations, these honest, raw, real conversations. And it's funny because I'd be like, okay, I'll do a live or post something. I don't take it down because I said this and I probably shouldn't have said. But at the end of the day, that's how we learn. Being raw, being
Right.
honest, being forthright. And if I say something, so getting if I say something like that too much, then Tosha gonna tell me to take it down. Pam gonna tell me to take it down. Somebody gonna tell me to take it down anyway. But I think that that is a part of. I have this. You guys, my masseter muscle is growing, and it's been growing for all my life because I grind my teeth quite a bit. But the last few years has been very stressful. I lost Maxie, my best friend. I lost my mom and my dad 90 days apart. Um, that just took so much wind out of me, and all of the force and pressure went to my jaw. And
Mm.
I've been grinding my teeth because there's a lot of shit that I want to say that I haven't really been able to say. So I made a decision that I'm just going to say it because I know, to your point, Shar, the conversation I had with myself about my intentions is that my intentions are for people to learn from my mistakes,
Mm.
for people to learn from my wins and my losses, my ebbs and my flows.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have, it's we have to be really careful in this industry as entertainers because we get caught up in this space of like,
Mm-hmm.
am I perfect?
Right.
You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Did something bad come out about me? And I think when we connect with people is when we show them that we are absolutely freaking human. And on some
Yeah.
levels, even more human than a lot of other people. Well, not more human than a lot of other people, but feel things on a different level
Right.
than a lot of other people because we are creatives. And creatives have this ability. In order to write a song, to be able to translate some words from a script, you have to be able to tap
Yeah.
into something very deep and something
Mm-hmm.
very oftentimes comedians tap into traumas and they joke about it, you
Right.
know? So the promise that I made to myself is that I'm just going to speak my truth
Mm.
because only I can speak my truth,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And these conversations that we're having on Worth TV and She Speaks Live from Home and what we're doing with From the Bottom Up Foundation um, is about encouraging people to just speak it, right? We're gonna learn
Yep.
from it. We're gonna look back on it and be like, well, I could have maybe used three less curse words.
Yeah. Maybe.
Shit.
Maybe.
Shit, that's some bullshit. Anyway, but I think understanding that that's like, oh, don't wear no red lipstick to church. Why?
Right.
God know I put this
Right.
red lipstick on. You
Right.
know, don't wear no jeans to
He
church.
made somebody make this
Why?
red lipstick.
He made somebody make
Right.
this red lipstick. And don't get me wrong, I think order and discipline and practicing protocol and all that stuff is important. But listen, we in the era like we talked about last night where ratchet is the new normal. So at the very
Yeah.
least, stop being so hard on yourself and feeling like you can't just be who the entire fuck you are. And
Right.
understand that people know you have a good heart, even if you cuss like I do, or Pam
Yeah.
sometimes. Shar don't do all that, which is why we need to practice. And Toast be like, yeah, she do. But saying all that to say, whatever you can do to support these initiatives, right? Y'all see us do She Speaks Live. We are coming back with new episodes of She Speaks Live with Christine Beatty, Stacey J. Johnson, Shanita Foster, and a host of other really smart women. We are going to do these more often on behalf of our foundation and what we're trying to build with this Worth initiative. We are trying to build something really special, you guys. We are trying to build something
Hmm.
that allows us to change the narrative and get rid of this culturally incompetent white male lens. I'm not going to get on this for too long, but that whole like nasty bitches situation that I've been talking about all week, there is a show for
Yeah.
those of you who have not seen, not watched, and don't know called Queens on the ABC network. The name of the group is the Nasty Bitches. I keep joking about P Valley, but the title of the show is Pussy Valley. While we are trying to heal ourselves, get through the traumas that are often mental, sexual trauma, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just people looking down on us and treating us like shit. While we're in the process
Yeah.
of trying to figure all of that out, we need all hands on deck to show more positive images of who we are,
Right.
Right.
more
Right.
three-dimensional depictions
Yeah.
of five-dimensional depictions of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who is perpetuating that type of stereotype and that kind of
Right.
negative ass bullshit is
Mm-hmm.
Right.
adding to our trauma. They are
Hmm.
adding to.
Yeah.
I mean, what? So what? We gonna have people everywhere just be like, "Oh my God, you see the show? The nasty bitches killed it." No, it's
Right.
not okay. And I'm
Right.
going
Right.
so hard about it because now the whole entire world looks at women of color like the way to come up is to be a stripper, to be a hoe, to be
Right.
set up chick, to be a mean
Yeah.
girl, to be a nasty bitch, to be in the backseat of an Uber disrespecting people. And a lot of times, as I have said and always will, the perspective of who we are is shaped by what people see on television because they do not live in our
Yeah.
neighborhoods. They do not get on have these conversations with us. So I
Right.
implore all of you to support what we're trying to do
Yeah.
because we're busting our asses and we're working so hard. And we
Yeah.
need as much support as we can get. So anything you can give financially, spiritually, um,
Yeah.
on any level, whatever you can do,
Yeah. Writing
please, we need it.
ideas. I think just sharing and connecting. Um, because again, it's all in about our collective story is very powerful. And I think again, Worth TV wants to shine a brighter light on a more holistic viewpoint of what our collective stories look like. Because right now, I think, yeah, to your point, the show ABC literally could have took the path of saying the name of the TV show is Queens and this group
And the
is
name
called Queen. I don't
self-titled.
understand what made it and again, like, so now you got this juxtaposition to be able to say, well, the title of the series is Queens, but only the group is called Nasty Bitches. So like we still, like, no, you can't straddle the fence on this.
Hmm.
You
Right.
can't have people, for the last 4 years with the orange dude who used to be in office, like, calling a woman nasty was like, oh my God, like he got clowned. He got
Right.
dragged across social media
Right.
for calling women nasty, right? And
Nasty.
most of the women he called nasty were Black and brown women.
Yep.
So how do you know that happens? I'm not even gonna bring up bitch because that's a whole nother conversation. Like me and you talk. I think it's one
Yep.
thing in our own private personal conversations when I'm with my girlfriends, she know me,
Right.
I know her, and we
Right.
refer to each other that way
Back to
for like
intention.
you said,
We are
right.
aware of
But
each
to
other's
put
intentions.
exactly, but to put it on a national, international stage and to frame it in an era, 90s, that's a
That part right
golden,
there is what pisses me off. Yeah. I mean, all of it pisses me off. But the golden
yes,
era, we didn't call it.
yeah,
We
right.
didn't do that.
That golden era means so much to my generation. I mean, hell, it means a lot to my daughter who's growing up listening to this music. And even she's like, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, that don't really make sense to me either, mom. Like, like I said, and I think because that's what people are going to see. And that's what I'm saying. So, what do you do to the young girl who goes to school and somebody calls her a nasty bitch because she think it's okay because she done been home watching Queens the
Right.
night
Oh my God,
before?
I watched Queens the other night, and that's what they're
Right.
called. Like we gonna do
Hmm.
Yeah.
nasty bitches t-shirts now? Like
She
what?
exactly. So I mean, and then she called the wrong little Black girl a nasty bitch and get drugged, and now somebody's kid is kicked out. I mean, I think
Or
people don't
worse. I
think
mean, that's the
enough.
thing. Yeah. Go ahead, Pam.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
people
I
don't
just had
think
a whole
enough
visual. Hmm.
because but I think people don't think enough about what these perceptions and what these images, how they translate into actual action. So I think beyond how a person may see me, a person is going to maybe treat me a certain kind of way. They're going to take some action towards me based off some character that you put on TV. And because they don't know Black women, they don't hang out with Black women, they have no context of who we
Hmm.
are in our totality.
Hmm.
That's a problem. It's a problem because
Hmm.
now when I go to work, I may work in a totally environment where I'm the only sister in that office. They all don't went home and watch Queens this weekend or whenever it comes on. And again, I think again, TV and networks have a responsibility that they're not living up to right now. And Worth TV, which is again, I think why we want people to come on board to support us and join and be a part of this movement, because I really think that's what it is a
It
movement.
is a movement. Absolutely.
Um, is that Worth TV is about filling that void. because that's a
Absolutely.
true void right now. Aside from the fact that it's going to build equity and try
Mm-hmm.
and bridge some of this wealth gap, and so that we are
Mm-hmm.
owning what's being
Mm-hmm.
put out about us. But just the
Mm-hmm.
fact that it fills this gap to say we are going to put responsible entertainment out
Yes.
into the world.
And you know what's really interesting, and this is coming from Tosh in our group text. Shonda Rhimes, when she was at ABC, you had Scandal, and Scandal was provocative and sexy, right?
Right.
And then she moved on to Netflix, and she has the new show. I can't think of what it's called, but everybody's talking about it, where black people
Is
live
it
up
Bridgerton
Bridgerton.
or Bridgerton?
Bridgerton,
Yes,
right?
Bridgerton.
Where they're pulled up and wealthy and together, right?
Right.
Hmm.
Now we doing nasty bitches.
Right.
That doesn't it doesn't add up. And the
Nope.
reason they had as much success with Grays and with Scandal and with some of the other things that they've done is because they had a culturally competent
Yep.
woman of color
Yep.
at that network
Hmm.
Yep.
behind the wheel. Whoever
Hmm.
was sitting up in that room when they was like, we're gonna call the show. And let me say this: white woman is the executive producer. Two brothers are involved as directors and writers, creators of the show. Two black
Well.
men. I'm gonna say two black
Mm,
men.
well.
So that is still culturally incompetent when you're talking about
Right.
a 90s girl group. Let's make Brandy, as I said last night, an executive producer, or Eve an executive producer, or Notori an executive producer, or bring Worth TV, which is something that we absolutely would love to do, on board to
Right.
consult. Like that's a great opportunity since you know
Right.
we're producing TV and we're doing whatever. And I'm not trying to plug what we're doing, but I am. That's a great
Yeah.
opportunity to consult, to create. So up for us, and that's one of the things we want to do at work, have focus groups so that you
Yeah.
have a real idea of what works. There's no way you did a
Hmm.
focus group naming that group the
Oh,
nasty bitches.
none.
Just ain't no way. And
None.
if you
None,
did, you didn't do
none at
it where
all.
we from. Right.
Right.
You didn't do it where
And
we from.
to have the two brothers on there, or knowing that it's two brothers somehow sitting
Two black
behind these
men,
scenes
because
watching this
brothers
play
ain't
out.
gonna have that happen. I'm
Right.
sorry.
That
Two black
goes
men.
to show, that goes to show, I think too, who the fuck is gonna be protecting black women if black men won't? Like, how did
That's a
they
whole
sit in
nother
that room?
conversation.
That's
Right.
you just read my mind. Our black men, especially in Hollywood and entertainment, since they getting all the jobs and all the
Yeah.
checks,
Yeah.
are they protecting us
And
enough?
right. Why not say, hey, hold on? And that's what I'm saying. You don't have a sister, you
Hmm.
know. I get it if you ain't got
A
no wife, you ain't
mama,
got no
you
husband,
got a
if you ain't got
mama
no,
because you came
exactly.
from one.
You got a mama,
Right.
exactly, because you came from one. That in and of itself should have at least gave you pause. And then again, who the fuck did the research on '90s group? I mean, I'd rather you make it a 2000 group in the
Then it
2000s, or
would
the
have
two,
made more sense if it's Meg The Stallion and Cardi B and some millennials. I'm sorry, Generation Z, X,
It
Y,
make I
yeah,
get it.
and
It
J.
makes sense.
that makes
And
sense.
we don't
But
like
like,
it. We
okay,
don't like that either. But
but I mean, it's just like, do you go and make a military movie about soldiers going to war and you don't talk to nobody in the military? So
right,
how do you
Right.
make a group
100%.
about a '90s group and you ain't consulted, called, looked into, Googled, Wikipedia, whatever,
Mhm.
somebody
Mhm.
about what that
Mhm.
era of music was about, what artists during that time period actually stood for, what they represented? Because
Hmm.
I'm
Mhm.
interested. What the hell is this group fighting for? What is it? What are they singing about
Hmm.
I have
to
no
be called
idea.
a
And
nasty?
in all fairness, it's a pilot. They're still writing. Maybe
Mm,
there's some like plot twist where they go in and they're like, we can't call ourselves this anymore. But the whole idea is we didn't call our that's not it's not even a part of who we ever were. So for you to
right.
even if you're gonna try to flip it and be like, yeah, well, we were once the nasty bitches, but we should elevate and call ourselves queens. Don't put it in a
Yeah.
press release. Don't put it all over
Right.
the world for everybody to see. Like that shit is okay. And I
Yeah.
know that people are like, okay, well, Nikki, people have to do what they have to do to get their money, and I get that. But you got to leave some money on the table. And
Yeah.
Shari, you
All
mentioned
money ain't good
earlier about
money.
all money ain't good money. Players Club.
Yep.
Um, you talked about how people are not really often transparent about what's going on. Trust me, I have not worked in a whole year. Prior to that, I was a full time caregiver and just loss after loss after loss financially. So it ain't gravy
Yeah.
over here either. But guess what? If someone called me and said, Nikki, we got a role for you and you have to be the nasty bitch, then somebody titled, now a nasty bitch as a character is one thing, but we're going to
Right.
perpetuate the stereotype that that is who you were in the 90s. I would have said no. And I need every
Yeah.
check I can get. And I would have said no. I walked away from
Yeah.
money on R&B divas, which is a whole nother conversation. All right, so this is about to be another 2 hour. That's a whole nother conversation that we're gonna give to y'all. I love that this was intimate and honest, and from the bottom of Foundation Work TV are going to give you more intimate, honest conversations.
Yes.
I can't wait to post the clips and repost this to the people. But please support our
Yeah.
initiatives, plural,
Yes.
because we got a lot of great stuff coming, and we need as much support as we can get because it is not very popular to
Mm-hmm.
um, try to do something that's more positive and uplifting.
Right.
People want to see drama. So it's
Yeah.
hard to get those things funded and supported. But guess who ain't quitting? Us. We gonna keep
Hello.
going. So we need y'all's
Keeping
Yep.
it.
help. If you are a writer, producer, director, anything you can contribute to this movement, to this cause, doesn't just have to be financial. Just go subscribe. That is the best way you can help us right now, right, Pam?
Yeah.
At this stage,
Absolutely.
right, the best way you
Yep.
can help us right now is to tell someone and to go out and subscribe to worthtv.com, because the more
Yep.
subscribers we get, we can use that and leverage that to get to the financial resources and other resources that we need,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
it tells the world that's what we want to see. And if we
Yeah.
show one movie to one person that changes one life, we've done what we're supposed to do. And our goal is
Mm-hmm.
to show
Yeah.
hundreds and thousands.
Mm.
So, all right, so it's late. This was so good. I'm so excited about doing this. We're gonna
Yay.
turn up on IG Live tomorrow. We gonna, I guess maybe we'll alternate. My Facebook
And it's
audience isn't as
Friday too,
big, but it's
so
intimate. It's Friday,
Yeah.
right? Oh, it's Friday. We ain't got no job. I love you, ladies. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. Thank you to the people who stuck through this process. Worktv.com, from the bottom up foundation.org. Any of you want to leave us with anything that you're doing or handle or whatever? They'll see you
um
tomorrow.
I just want to say first, and I know I tell you this in text or just in other conversations. I love and appreciate you so much.
I
I
love and
think
appreciate
for
you.
always speaking your truth. I love it when I think people get to, come across my path, or when people merge into my journey. And I think, and again, that's what this is about. Sharabu, I love you already. I'm so happy I got to meet you.
Don't
I'm
we?
loving the
Yes, we
ponytail.
do.
Trying to trying to grow mine outside and get me a ponytail too. Um, but
Come on.
I think, again, if it's anything I would want people to take away is that understanding that our stories are not just for ourselves. And I think that's, from the bottom up foundation, Worth TV, it's about using our stories to uplift, to encourage other people.
Hmm.
And there's so much power in that. And yes, there's drama,
Yes.
and there's funny, and there's
Yes.
everything in our stories.
Yes.
And I want to hear those. So yes, please subscribe, sign up, send us a message, follow us on social media, FTB, FTUB,
Be
at Facebook and on IG, and then Worth TV, also on Facebook and IG as well.
And if you forget, you can go to from the bottom of foundation.com.org or worthtv.com,
.org.
and it'll give you all of that. Okay, Shar?
Yeah.
I just want to say it is an honor to be in the presence of you, beautiful ladies. I am so privileged to be a part of this wonderful experience, and I am so excited about this journey that From the Bottom Up Foundation and Work TV is on. I just cannot wait to see all the awesomeness that that you all are going to put out into the world, and I'm just excited to be a part of this wonderful experience. To everybody who is watching, this is just a glimpse of the authenticity that these wonderful women bring to the world. So just be a part, be a part. It's definitely going to, it's some seeds and some gems that's going to be sown into your life. So just come join this journey. And I'm just excited. So excited.
And Tosha said we're not doing a recap tonight. We're excited too. I know we go get some rest. I love y'all. I love like it's been a long journey. It's been a long
Yeah.
journey, and I finally feel like I have arrived at a place where I have truly clearly seen what my purpose is, and I'm clear on it.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
we are going to get knocked down and get back up and dust each other off and take over this entire freaking world. See, I said it
Yes.
because I was gonna say something else, but I said I'm gonna say something else.
We're
Thank y'all
gonna
for
work on it,
watching,
Char. We're gonna clean it up a little bit.
or not, because listen,
Or not.
at the end of the day, people walking around here dropping it low and spreading it wide, getting deals with Pepsi. So if y'all got a
Thank
problem
you.
with a shit, damn, hell, fuck, every now and then go holler at them Pepsi people and tell them that they need to stop. See, you know what the problem with me is? I'm never gonna work because I'm gonna piss everybody else off telling the truth. Because guess what? People don't do that shit enough in this industry, and they're used to things being fake and phony and not real. And that's just real.
Right.
And that's the other thing. You should be able to say real shit to people and say how you really
Yes.
feel and not be worried about. But again, what I say, if they don't get it, they not for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if I end up with one
Mm-hmm.
place to get a job at Worth TV, then that's the one job I'm gonna do. All right,
That's what you
I'm sorry, I can't fake the funk for nobody, not even Pepsi or ABC. Y'all need to holler at me so we can figure out the other shit, right?
got.
All right,
Right.
tomorrow night we're gonna be on live. Go to my IG live. It'll be fun. It'll be lighter, and let's talk about. I don't know. We'll figure out a subject. Okay. Thank y'all for
Yeah.
hanging out with us. I'm Nikki Gilbert Daniels, and
I'm
to my
I'm
shy.
Pamela
there you go.
Price.
There you go. And we are the From the Bottom Up Foundation, Worth TV, and some bad. Now, if they call them bad bees, then that'd be a whole nother thing. Anyway.
A
All right, y'all
whole
have a
nother
good night.
thing, right?
That would be a whole nother. They could have called them nasty without the bees. Anything but the nasty bees. That just don't go together. Sorry, ladies
No.
and gentlemen. It just don't go together. Donate to FromTheBottomUpFoundation.org and Worth TV. And if you cannot donate, subscribe because it's free and we need those
Subscribe.
Right.
subscribers. All right.